Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to a how to play of this game right here. This is Charcuterie The Board Game. It is published by 3rd World Studios, who's helping sponsor today's video, and it's designed by Whitney Lorraine as well as Josh Camden. It plays 2 to 6 players, is ages 14 plus, and plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. And basically in Charcuterie The Board Game, I'm sure you can tell by the box and the title and all the components in front of me, but you're going to be competing with all the other players at the table to create the best charcuterie board. You are all going to an event, bringing your board with you and being judged on the presentation and layout of your charcuterie board, and whatever player creates the best charcuterie board is going to be the winner. So if you guys want to hear more about this, if you want to know how exactly Charcuterie the Board Game plays, then just keep on watching. I'll be telling you all about that, as well as showing you all the components. Charcuterie the Board Game, when this video goes up, is currently up on Kickstarter, so definitely go and check that out. I will link it down below if you guys are interested in seeing more about Charcuterie the Board Game and possibly backing it for yourself. But without further ado, let's get into this how to play of charcuterie. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below if Charcuterie the Board Game is something that you think you would enjoy. And without further ado, let's get into this how to play of Charcuterie the Board Game. Charcuterie is a game for 2 to 6 players in which guests at a party compete to create the most attractive charcuterie board. Players will draw, share, and arrange food tiles on their boards for a set number of rounds, then getting points based off of certain objective cards as well as their secret recipe. And the player at the end of the game with the most victory points is the winner. So let's first off get into the setup of charcuterie. To start off, each player gets a charcuterie board of their own, and then place the objective board in the center of the table where all players can see it. This objective board has 6 different spaces, one for each of the different types of tiles. Randomly choose one objective card for each of the food categories and place them on the corresponding objective board locations. Note that there are 2 different types of objective cards. There are the base objective cards as well as the gourmet objective cards. It is recommended for your first game that you use all 6 of the base objective cards only. But once you do get more familiar with the game and you want a little bit more of a challenge, feel free to mix in the gourmet objective cards with the base objective cards, or only use the gourmet objective cards. Now, as for the different food categories, let's get into what is included in each of those categories. So there are 6 different categories, starting with the bread category. This one includes 4 different types of tiles, 2 circles and 2 squares. There is also the cheese category, which includes Parmesan, Swiss, cheddar, Gouda, Colby, and blue. The dip category includes 4 different types of dips, including tapenade, ranch, hummus, and fig jam. The meat category only has 3 different tiles, making it the smallest group, but included is salami, sopressata, as well as meat roses. Next up, we have the 2 larger groups, and that is veggies, including olives, carrots, cucumbers, tomatoes, as well as broccoli and cauliflower. And then there's also the fruit category that includes blackberries, dates, grapes, strawberries, as well as orange slices. And throughout the game, if players ever are confused with what goes in what food category, you can always look at the back of each tile, and that has the icon of what food category it is included in. With that information out of the way, let's get back to finishing up the setup for charcuterie. The next thing you're going to do is place the serving board in the center of the table alongside the objective board where all players can see it. Then shuffle up the recipe cards and deal out 2 to each player. Each player will then choose one to keep and one to discard, and the one that they do choose to keep, they will keep it face down beside charcuterie board. Note that in this how to play, I did have them face up, but that was solely so you guys could see some of the secret recipes that were available. But during a game, this is a secret recipe and you will want to keep it secret from all other players. If this is a 5 to 6 player game, each player will randomly get 6 different tiles to start off the game with, and then lastly, draw one tile out of the bag, and the most recent player to eat this food will be the start player. That start player will now be the host for the first round, and the host will draw food tiles from the draw bag and separate them into multiple food tile stacks. The total number of stacks and the quantity of food tiles in each stack will vary based off of the number of players. So for this example here, we have a 6-player game, so that will be 6 stacks of 2 tiles. Note that this is an I split you choose game, so the host can kind of move around the tiles until they like the stacks that are made. Starting with the player to the left of the host and continuing clockwise, each player then chooses one stack of food tiles to keep. In a 2-player game, each player will then choose a second stack in player order, so hopefully the host has prepared multiple appetizing combinations because they will receive the last food tile stack. When choosing the food tiles, players will want to keep in mind the different objectives that they are going for as well as their secret recipe. Once all players have taken their tiles, it is now time to arrange. Each player will place their food tiles onto their own charcuterie board, following the game's food tile placement rules, which let's go over a few of those right now. Players may place food tiles anywhere on their charcuterie board, even on top of other tiles. However, tiles must always touch the charcuterie board directly. Each tile must at least be half visible. No more than half of the food tile is covered by any other food tiles. Tiles may not hang over the side of the charcuterie board. And lastly, in a 6-player game, all tiles must be within the inner ring of their charcuterie board. And an important note here is that any time during the game, players may rearrange their food tiles on their charcuterie board, taking the tiles off the board, putting them on the board, moving them around the board. As players receive more food tiles, they will see more opportunities for scoring, and rearranging the board from round to round is not only expected, but likely necessary to win the game. Now, before we get into endgame scoring, let's go over some of the words on objective cards that you might see quite often, starting with group. Most scoring objectives refer to groups of. This means that it is a group of 2 or more food tiles of a specified type that are adjacent or connected in an unbroken series of adjacent tiles. This may be 10 victory points for each group of only 1 meat, 1 cheese, and 1 cracker, or gaining victory points per unique fruit in a group of fruits. Next word is adjacent. Many food tiles score points when they are adjacent to another food tile. Food tiles must be touching to be considered adjacent. A food tile is adjacent to every food tile it touches directly. An example of this is score 2 victory points for each bread adjacent to a meat. The next word is pair. Some scoring objectives refer to pairs of items, like a cracker and a cheese pair, and a pair is a set of exactly 2 tiles. For food tiles to be considered a pair, they don't actually need to touch, nor do they actually need to be in a group. They just need to be located somewhere on the player's charcuterie board. And lastly, we have the word neighboring, which simply just means the players to the left and the right of that player. And then there's also the word unique, and this is used in some scoring objectives, and it is referring to groups or pairs of unique food tiles, and a tile is considered unique if it has different art than any other tile. The game ends once every player has taken 2 complete turns as the host, or 1 complete turn for a 5 and 6 player game. In the final round, after all players have received their final set of food tiles, they will have 1 minute to finish arranging their boards. When that minute is up, flip the cutting board over to the scoring board side. Each player will then grab a scoring marker of their choice and proceed into scoring each of the objective cards as well as each of the players' recipe cards. Use the +50 side of the scoring token and the +100 5-star chef markers as needed. Once all players have counted up all of their victory points for all 6 of the objective cards as well as their secret recipe card, the player with the most victory points wins Charcuterie the Board Game. Alright friends, so that is going to be everything for today's video, and that is how you play Charcuterie the Board Game. Like I mentioned, this is up on Kickstarter right now, so definitely go and check it out. If you're watching this after the fact and you already have this in your hands, I hope you enjoy playing it. Give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Huge thank you again to 3rd World Studios for sponsoring today's How to Play. And I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you guys in the next board game video. Bye, friends.